Hello again, Reg Techies. Welcome to the fall installment of the Job Market Quarterly Series here on the Reg Tech Podcast. In partnership with our friends at Aspen Technology Labs, we're bringing you the Job Market Pulse, the latest insights from their third quarterly U.S. jobs report, offering key data points about the U.S. labor market for the third quarter of this year. The data in this report comes from Aspen Tech Labs Job Index, which aggregates daily vacancy information from more than 115,000 company career sites. And joining me now again is Isabel Woodrow. She's going to walk us through the numbers. Hey, Isabel, great to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to jump in.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the numbers. What's the big headline before we get to them?
Yeah, I think the big headline is that we're seeing things are pretty stable. There was a 0.5% increase in vacancies this quarter. So I think, there's lots of waiting who's going to win the election, what's happening with interest rates, what's happening with the market. But I think the, kind of good news is job posting rates at least are holding steady. There is still about a 4.5% decline year over year in the US. But since most of that decline is actually at the end of 2023, and we've actually seen 3 quarters this year of really small growth this year. So I think that's the headline number. We see wages are up. We have salary data from job postings. Full-time wages are up this quarter. Part-time wages are flat. So, some mixed signals, but it seems like things are holding steady.
Okay, well, that's good news, I think.
Yeah.
You're going to roll into the slides here and fire away.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay, awesome. Let's jump in. So first one to back up, give you a little bit about Aspen Tech Labs. Aspen Tech Labs is a global leader in web data management, services, labor market intelligence, and recruitment technology. We were founded in 2008. We provide web scraping, business intelligence, data analytics for recruitment technologies, mostly in the job space. We do a little bit in auto and property and financial services and healthcare as well. And my name's Isabel. I'm a senior product manager at Aspen Tech Labs. So I'm excited to jump in. So first, I'll cover a little bit about where all this data comes from that we use in our quarterly report. So we have our jobs index. It includes 10 million active job listings, almost 200 million historical listings from over 200,000 companies, and we have data in 193 countries. We have the most coverage in the US, we have great coverage in Europe, Canada, Australia, and we're willing to kind of grow our coverage if someone's interested in a different market. But this report is mostly focused on the US. I have a couple insights of just where the US stands kind of with the rest of the world as well. Okay, so our data comes directly from the source. It's not coming from job boards, it's coming directly from the corporate career site and where you actually apply for the job, and it can be on the ATS. So you'll see here, there's links, all the job postings have links to actually where the job posting actually lives. It's real time and accurate. So here's, for example, is Tesla's job postings over the last year. I think we realized this was back in the summer when this was taken, but the point is the same. And, our job posting data, we noticed they dropped all their job postings to 0 right before they announced layoffs in their quarterly earnings call. So we noticed it on April 21st, April 23rd was their quarterly earnings report. So it's really real time and fresh data.
Hey, go
Yeah,
back a couple slides to the ATS slides. We have
yeah.
the ATS number. I just want to look at that for a second and talk about that because Workday is the biggest ATS out there by far. They really dwarf the other ATSs as far as just number of
So yeah,
clients.
and there's two ways to look at it, right? So you have by like number of vacancies and then
Yeah.
also count of companies. So that column that says count of employer name is the number of companies. So Workday is by far the biggest by the number of vacancies. And this is just in the US. So when I took this, but there
Nice.
are some others that have lots of companies and, different ATSs target differently sized companies. Workday, we know, targets big ones. And some of these other do target smaller companies.
What's Talent Reef? I haven't really heard of Talent Reef before. They're like number
Yeah,
six.
and we have the ATS name. It could be part of a bigger company, so I can check on that one, but that's maybe how we word it in our
Probably
database.
the one that's been out there for a while. I thought that was interesting. So feel free to
Yeah, no, and so, we get requests from people to say, which ATSs are growing, and we'll know that from, the number of companies that is growing or changing. So lots of interesting data for sure.
absolutely, yeah.
Sorry, I went through that quickly.
That's good.
Just wanted to cover that our data is really representative. This is the number of vacancies per employer. So, there's over 10,000 that have over 100 jobs, but there's actually over 100,000 companies that have less than 10 jobs. So we really do have a lot of data, even from small employers.
Hmm.
And, you can make actionable trends. These are job titles that we noticed have been increasing over the last year, and you can see where areas are growing, which job titles are maybe not growing as much. So those were just some examples. And now we'll kind of, oh, one more point before we jump into the quarter. Our database is always growing. So we have a research team that's constantly looking to expand which companies do we not have. And so in the last year, we've added over 53,000 employers, which represent 800,000 live vacancies. Those companies are actually not included in our quarterly report because we haven't had them for more than a year. So they're not, they can affect trends, right? If we've been adding companies and we're saying, a category is growing, but we added, 200 companies, that's not really representative of what's happening in the market. So we are always adding to it, but everything you're seeing after this, these kind of new employers are excluded.
So you need a year's worth of data before you put them in the actual numbers.
Our customers can see them right away. So you can see, hey, if you want to know how many jobs there are in the veterinary space in a certain market, we'll include all the new ones, of course. But when we're looking at year-over-year trends, we exclude it. Gotcha. I think if we're just looking at quarterly trends, we can add them if we've had them for more than a quarter, but a lot of this stuff is year-over-year, you'll see. So they're excluded from that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what are we seeing in the US in Q3? They covered the main point that vacancies ticked up by 0.5% over quarter. It was roughly, I think, 30,000 vacancies end of quarter compared to the beginning. It's still down by 4.5% year over year. It does mark the third consecutive quarter of modest growth. From compared to what we were seeing last year, which people are calling a period of revision post-COVID, when we saw a bunch of job postings and now we've seen less. But happy to report that things remain stable in Q3.
Yeah, but that's the basically it's a very modest one, but it's called the September surge, I guess, there.
Yeah.
For this quarter.
This shows year over year, just last trend, down 4.5%, which I mentioned, and then just kind of contrasting the US to UK, Germany, and France. UK we actually see has the most kind of decline year over year. It's minus about 14%. Germany is similar to the US, and France has actually been interesting. It was growing. Now it declined a little bit recently, but it's only down 1.5% year over year. And they had the Olympics, so there's, potentially a lot of jobs created around that, which I should just mention. Another way you can look at, how different countries are doing is kind of some of the top companies in those countries. So this is not like how the market for S&P 500 was. This is the vacancies from companies in the S&P 500, in FTSE, which is in the UK, and the Russell 1000, which is also the US. So interestingly, job postings from the companies in these indexes actually tracked what we were seeing for the countries as a whole, which I guess makes sense. They're probably some of the biggest companies. So Russell 1000 was down 6% year over year. S&P 500 did a bit better, down 4%, and FTSE did a bit better than the UK, but still down 12% year over year. Okay, so what are we seeing vacancy trends category-wise? Interestingly, the largest growth we saw in Q3 was from funeral service jobs. We actually don't have very many. You can see the change was about 1,000 jobs year over year. We don't, again, have many data points, but the growth does match trends we found in labor shortages in that space, and maybe it's an aging workforce, so they really do need to find people to replace. Construction jobs were also up 7% in Q2 and 22% year over year. So probably a favorable construction environment right now. The categories with the largest decreases were education. However, that's seasonal since it's slightly up year over year. Research positions and dental professions. So you definitely want to look at stuff not just quarterly, yearly, because there are seasonal trends, especially in things like education when they finish most of their hiring in the spring and early summer.
Yeah. The largest growth there, accounting is number 2 at 42%.
Yeah.
The archaeologist in there. Pharmacy.
So you'll see you can put the job count, so you can kind of see the ones that are small too. But yeah, accounting, pharmacy, insurance, personal service. Yeah. It's like hairdressing and some other jobs like that. Down year over year, but up this quarter, maybe recovering.
I wonder why education is down so much. Is that because of
it's seasonal? Because year over year, it's actually up 2%. So we find that hiring jobs will get posted at the start of the new year in education and then kind of filled by end of the school year and early summer because they have to start a lot of those roles, mid-summer. So that one we think is seasonal.
Yep. Surprised transportation is down too as well. I thought that's an area where companies are always hiring.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Only 1% quarter over quarter, but 10% year over year. Yeah, about a little more than the US.
Okay, interesting.
One other kind of new feature we looked at this quarterly report is vacancy duration. So how long job postings are live. Median vacancy duration increased in Q3 to 3.1 weeks. So about 31 days compared to 2.6 weeks 1 year prior. So, job applications have grown a lot with the job market cooling down a bit. So maybe employers have a lot more applications to sift through. Also, there's uncertainty about the upcoming election. So maybe employers are moving more cautiously. And so we are seeing job postings take a little bit longer to fill.
Yeah.
Again, you can look at the US compared to other countries. Interestingly, the UK has the shortest amount in their job market. We saw decrease. So I think when job postings are available in the UK, they're probably getting a lot of applicants and filled. So makes sense based on some of the other data points we're seeing. One thing I wanted to point out is for the extent employers are looking to speed up the hiring process, we've actually seen a separation over the last year from jobs that contain salary information compared to jobs that don't. So job postings with salary information are filled about on average 6 days faster than job postings without salary.
6 days faster. Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to get more applicants faster, add salary data to your job postings.
Yes. That's
okay, salary. What'd you say? Sorry?
That's my favorite stat so far from your slide.
Yeah. And, last year we looked at, there's just a lot more salary data in the last year. So, it was 30% a year ago to over 40% now in the US. Over the quarter, it went from 40 to 42. Every week we see job postings with salary information go up. And I think, candidates are starting to expect it as well.
The trend continues. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, states that have salary transparency legislation where it's required. And then here the blue states have salary transparency legislation. Maryland just went live as of October 1st. So we expect to see the percentage in that state go up quickly. The states highlighted in yellow have actually passed legislation, but it's not in effect yet. Will be sometime in the last year. And New Jersey, I think just the other week, their House and Senate passed it, and it's going to the governor's desk, who I believe is going to pass it. So that will be one more state as well. But even if you look at the worst state in terms of salary transparency, there's still 30% of jobs have salary information.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at salary trends, full-time salary. So all our salary information is coming from the job postings. We just grab the advertised salary. So just want to emphasize that as we get into some salary trends. So we actually saw full-time wages go up 2.5% in Q3. Part-time wages stayed flat. So it indicates that maybe there's more part-time roles available, or they're able to fill those a little bit quicker because we saw wages stay relatively flat there.
So $18 is the minimum or the average minimum wage you see across the index here.
$18 is the median part-time salary we see. So for hourly jobs, which is the median part-time salary. So it's probably similar to minimum wage. You're right, but doesn't always match it because some states still have $7 the minimum wage, and that's not real because almost no one is offering that. So it's the median hourly or part-time salary we're seeing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And this would be for full-time jobs, the median full-time salary.
So 58, wasn't 58 what? 58,656. Okay.
Yeah. And it's gone up a bit. I think in 2023, if I remember from our yearly report, it went up, but it about, tracked with what inflation is. So I think it's probably similar this year. It's gone up, inflation a bit, although it's slowing down, and part-time wages, I believe, went up in Q2 a little bit, but stayed flat in Q3. Sometimes for part-time wages too, we see a big change at year marks, and that's sometimes when minimum wage goes up in certain states, as you pointed out, or, maybe they're not changing the salary quite as often for some of those roles.
Mm-hmm.
This just takes a look at median full-time salary by state. So there's that 58.6 US number. It's about what you would expect in terms of high cost of living and low cost of living areas, where you see lower median salaries versus higher. California, DC actually has the highest of all the states. West Coast high, Northeast high, and the Southeast a little bit lower. And then we track that with how salary has changed. So all states saw a growth in salary. We did see a few states where salaries actually went down on average in Q3. Some interesting states like
Connecticut.
Montana, New Mexico, I believe that is, Oklahoma, West Virginia. We should have the names on here. I'm testing myself are the states that had the biggest
You didn't know this is a
percent
geography
change
test, yeah.
in salaries. Okay, top paying jobs by category. So it makes sense. IT we see as one of the highest one. Real estate. Real estate does include some finance positions in the real estate field. Engineering, legal, more finance. Choosing veterinarian, which is probably mostly veterinarian, like doctors in that field, nursing, and how those kind of ranks changed compared to last quarter. So many stayed flat, although we saw some that went up in median salary and healthcare actually dropped a bit.
That
And
nursing one, is that a million jobs there that you're
so,
referencing?
yeah, in our 2023 report, nursing jobs were the most common job. I think there were over 3 million jobs live in 2023 at some point that were nursing.
Oh, that's a huge number. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and we almost 90% of our jobs are from company sites. We do have some data from agencies as well. There's actually a higher percentage of agency and kind of travel nursing jobs, or we see it in the nursing sector. So I think it's almost 25% of the jobs are agency. So, and travel nurses jobs. And I believe it's common for nurses to take on, they can have a job and they can take extra shifts at other places. So you do see a lot of nursing jobs, and there's a need in the nursing sector. And I think nursing includes um, some CNA, like caregiving type positions, which we see growing at, senior homes. Like it's just an area where there's a lot of growth.
Yeah, that was my next question. It's probably CNA in there too, and all kinds of nurses, right? So from the
Yeah.
entry level to the
LPN, I believe nurse practitioner that is in there. So, and tons of different types of nursing. So we have our taxonomy has 3 levels. You have kind of the category, which you're seeing here. You have the job title, which would be like registered nurse broad. And then you have a more specific one, which would be like OR nurse or OBGYN nurse or the different type of nurse that you have as well.
yep.
One thing we highlighted in our quarterly report, these were 3 job titles where we saw a lot of year-over-year growth in salary, and they're actually 3 job titles, that don't require a college degree that we see growing. So electrician salary, plumber, and mechanic, there's a need for those positions, and wages are going up. So it's an interesting one. And then just wanted to highlight, we do have a product around wages. It's called Wage Pulse. You can look up a job title in a certain location and see kind of really specific details about that job title, what's
Mhm.
happening with wages, what's happening with vacancies, how kind of salaries have changed year over year or quarter over quarter, who some of the top employers are. So this is just a sneak peek of our Wage Pulse. And if there's a job title, anyone listening or market, or you have a question, just reach out to me. I'd happy to pull up this report and just share it with you.
What's the fastest growing uh, job title that you've seen so
Yeah,
far?
there's a couple. So some of those um, like these type of positions, electrician, plumber, mechanic, we're seeing those growing. Data scientist is one that's growing a bunch. I think it's related to AI. We actually see like a huge increase in AI jobs year over year. It's like 30%. We partner with Veritone and we put out a quarterly report on AI jobs. Our Q3 report is coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. And so we see job titles growing there. I think customer service job titles. Those are a few off the top of my head. Nursing ones for sure. So there's definitely areas where we see growth. It's not, I mean, as we saw, this quarter was flat and a little up,
Yeah.
but it's not all, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. There's certain areas
No,
where we're,
it's not. Yeah, it's not going down. That's the
yeah,
important part.
yeah, but good question. Another kind of new thing we looked at this quarter, have been starting to track is CPC rates from wholesale job advertisers. So the wholesale CPC rates are the rates job boards receive when they accept feeds from providers such as Adzuna, Appcast, or others.
Mhm.
So we've observed kind of shifts in these rates and started to track them. So the following chart shows CPC rates in the retail segment, so just retail for traffic providers where employers can pay maybe up to twice as much. This is just the rates traffic providers are seeing. Um, and although there is a seasonal increase this year, it occurred later than last year, and overall kind of CPC rates remain lower than they were a year ago. So it's about down 18.5% at the
So
end of
job,
Q3.
so job boards for retail listings are earning about a quarter a click roughly, looks like.
Yeah. That's what the rates are in the feeds that the job boards will see. I think employers, like if you're hiring on the retail side, you're paying more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good data for the job boards out there to see.
Yeah, and looking at job postings, there has been a slight increase in recent weeks. We think maybe some seasonal hiring happening, but overall retail jobs are down 7% year over year. So the decline in postings combined with rising unemployment suggests there's more candidate activity, maybe reducing the pressure on companies to raise CPC rates. However, we are see them going up in Q4 due to companies having to hire around the holidays. And then one thing I want to mention, if you're not currently accepting feeds due to technical constraints, we do offer a feeds management and optimization solution we call Jobs Flow. It can simplify the process and increase revenue. And additionally, we can assist in deduplicating paid feeds to maximize your reach. It's a new offering from Aspen Tech Labs. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to me.
Okay.
Okay, one other thing I wanted to get into, and we looked at this for some of your readers, so market spotlight on HR or listeners at HR tech vacancies. So these are jobs just from like the biggest companies in HR tech. It's just their job postings year over year. So they include companies like Zip, Stepstone, Greenhouse, Veritone, Workday, as we mentioned on the ATS side as well. And these year over year, they were actually up 1.5%. So compare that with everything in the world being down about 5%. These job postings actually beat that. So
Yes.
in this industry, there is still some hiring going on.
Nice. I like that. I like that shot there. That's good. The HR tech market in one screen there.
Yeah, and it doesn't claim to say we have every single company, but we tried to do our best to pull all the ones we know. It does include a good number of them. So if you have questions about one's included or something, any listeners, just reach out to me.
Nice.
All right, I think that's my last slide. Were there any other questions you had on the Q3
Can
report?
can you build other specific industries for a company or like this for HR tech you did?
Yeah. So we do have, so as I mentioned, we have our taxonomy, which is based on the category of the job, right? Or then that's the job function. So it's like an accountant at Facebook and an accountant at McDonald's, which both be in the accounting category, right? But we have some industry data as well, which is the industry of the company. I'd say we have, going back a handful of slides to our intro section. I don't claim to say we have all 123,000 of the smallest companies kind of
Yep.
tagged properly, but over 60 or 70% of our jobs do have industry, so we can start to look at industry data as well. We're working on, kind of categorizing those small companies, but we just have to make sure, okay, we have the right company, domain associated with it, and that's actually a task we're working on now. But we do have industry data. We've looked at healthcare, we've looked at tech, we've looked at finance, a handful of others. So if there is industry data you're interested in, let us know. And, I think you'll see improvements from us in that space over the next couple of months as well.
Awesome. Well, appreciate your time today, Isabel. Thanks for the slides. Tell everybody go to where to learn more.
Yes. So sorry, this is me. You can reach out to us at our website, aspentechlabs.com. We have our Q3 report right at the top. It's a banner. It's its own webpage. You can't miss it if you go to our website. It will have a little email form. We'll get your info and then fill out the report or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to share it with you that way as well.
Awesome. I'll put the link in the show notes here. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, you can get that link there as well. And Isabel, thanks again. We'll see you next quarter.
Yeah, and I'll just say next time it's going to be a yearly report. So we
Oh,
kind
okay.
of combine Q4 and all 2024. Look for that in early January. And yeah, that's kind of our most substantial of the year. So we're excited. Already have some ideas for things we're going to include in that.
All right. We'll put it on the calendar right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
All right, Isabel. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Take care.